All right, here we go. We've got the defending champs, Damwon Kia versus G2, the favorites out of Europe. G2 has probably been showing the best form out of all the Western teams. Super high tempo, rookie of the split. They've got a lot of good performers here. Caps has been playing well. Yike has been playing well. So they're pretty exciting about this. Also, last time we were in Korea, Caps was in the finals, right? So this was where the European teams did well. The Shy also made it to Korea last time, so a lot of narratives returning now that we're back in Korea here. Love to see that. Very innocuous little Oriana ball right there, just going side to side, getting vision with one person, getting vision of three potentially. That's a good setup for them, and they're getting a little bit of mana. Anyways, what they're doing, they're trying to fan out coming into this draft. We see a Renata-Draven combination, which is something you see a lot together. You get the Renata to keep Draven alive to help him to find that kill so that he can snowball out of control. Then Renata also has insurance opposite, kind of very, very well paired with Draven, where Draven gets outranged later into the game. He puts himself into the threat range of a Nazir and a Varus and a Jace. Becomes very difficult to play him later, but Renata for those big team fights now at level 11 will have that huge channeled ultimate, will be a big source for them to go and get some power. Now, something that they opted not to do here, it looks like they went for a little bit of river prio, but you see that Draven only has one axe. Something that you can do on Draven lanes is you can leash, and then by leashing, you can catch axes on your way back to lane. You walk halfway back, you reactivate your Q, and then you have two spinning axes. And that makes you super deadly for a level 1 engage if it comes to it. But doing it this way, they get to hide the Maokai start. Maokai is going to come in here and challenge Gromp, and Rel is not positive that Maokai doesn't have smite, so she's going to back off. You see these wards here. Draven Prio steps up. They've pushed the wave in because that's what Draven gets to do. But I might see a Q flash here from Alistar. We'll see if Draven puts himself in range. All it takes is one stray auto attack for that to yield a lot of benefit. Whoa, Cap's taking tons of damage here. Looks like he wants to get a fast recall off, but he is burning his potion. One of the things that these laners might do is try to go for early trades and then get that fast teleport in, try to come back with a stat advantage, but they usually want to get at least 350 gold so they can pick up a Dark Seal for themselves. Now, Broken Blade versus Jace. It looks like Broken Blade is taking some of these trades pretty aggressively. You normally have to be very careful, make sure you don't get too low, but of course this health bar is higher than it appears for the Renekton, because he has sustain in the kit, so he's happy to do it. But that being said, he doesn't have a potion, so Jace might look for a play here. He actually calls Rel over, and we might get our first death, probably 345. Slightly unpredictable based on what happened with Rel. You might anticipate that she's going to spend some time on her red buff, and instead we see Maokai coming over saying, all right, same thing, I invaded you, I spent some time here, I need to now skip a couple camps to go take the scuttle, be a little bit closer. Mid laners trading teleports. All right, we're going to be looking for a big wombo fight. Probably going to get an Abyssal Mask from Renekton or Maokai this game. Renekton ultimate deals a lot of magic damage. Maokai 100% magic damage. Oriana is the big source of big chunk damage in the late game, so you absolutely want to have Abyssal Mask on your engager. Most times you're going to have Maokai kind of in between playing that long range route. You're going to see Renekton coming in to drop the hammer to the anvil as we talk about. So the anvil is going to rise. In this case, it's going to be Maokai's R, and then you're going to look to see Renekton come in at an angle, smash the team together, and force a fight. That said, once we do get into this grand melee, we're talking about Rel Alistar, so there is a lot of lockdown that the Gator needs to be careful of, and Draven, being a low-range carry, might have to put himself in harm's way to do it. He's also completely outranged by all three of the carries here, so it's going to be a difficult game to play Draven. Now, Kana, who was one of the highest performing champions last year, don't know much about his season this year, but stacking up a triple, no, is this a quadruple? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quadruple stacked range casters up here. They're actually going to survive past the 5-minute mark here, meaning that there's going to be some significant damage to this turret. Right there, the defenses go down. Broken Blade using some of his HP to get the Fury and to stack up and just clear out that without losing the plate. If you do lose a plate that early, then you open up, and with a wave that big, you open the door for Jace to get a quick back, and you might accidentally let him stumble into Serrated Dirk, which is something you're trying to avoid for as long as possible. As the Renekton, you're sort of trying to get to plated steel caps before he can get to Serrated Dirk, right? Or you do it at the same time. When they back for Serrated Dirk, you want to be able to crash that wave and recall with your plated steel caps, so that you have some sort of defense against it, or making sure that you have enough damage from your Iron Spike Whip combination, for example, going forward. Right now, we see he goes for Pickaxe, which will give him enough damage to make these trades much more poignant once we get this range versus melee swing. When you do trade in, and make no mistake, it's not going to be an all-in, but he's going to look to dash, stun, Q, dash back out, and that's it. All right. Now that he has the Pickaxe, that's going to hurt a little bit more. It has a little bit more potency, and then he gets to sustain up off of his Fury. You see how Kana now has to give some amount of respect to the Croc. Level 6, now this matchup will flip. Jace will enjoy a nice early lead here, but some of his gold went into a tier, so you absolutely have to be careful, right? You only got 20 AD out of your items. The Renekton got 25, so he's going to be looking to hurt you a little bit more on those trades. Beautiful flash there by Caps. They're trying to set up, scoop into the Rel. Now, Hail of Blades is an interesting play here from Showmaker, really going after the lane phase. You want to get way more and more powerful, significant trading going on with the Hail of Blades. You see that extra attack going off, making a big difference. So Azir definitely getting the advantage here, but Caps holding his own. Their teleports are on identical timers. They used it at exactly the same time. They're going to be looking to push in with the threat of this Hail of Blades. Also, you have the all-in threat of Rel and Alistar, a little bit better as all-in roaming supports, whereas Renata is sort of glued to this Draven and doing some counter invades. He'll be in position to help out, but that'll be it. Throw a couple spells and that's it. Ooh, Outsmite versus Maokai. Maokai does have a very long animation for his Q. It makes it very predictable when that damage is coming out, but that damage is significant. They will have the advantage when it comes out, but Rel, all of their abilities, what is it, 260% extra damage to jungle camps is a lot, so Rel is always going to be okay in those situations as well. Now, something that you look for in this Maokai versus Rel type matchup, tank, Sejuani, whoever it is, you're going to see lots and lots of Raptor camps taken, okay? Not just is it the easiest one to take for the tank, because the single target camps take forever, but also near mid lane, it allows them to play through and allow them to help their mid laner get pushing prio. Oh, we see a flash engage from Broken Blade. My goodness, big chunks. Liking that damage total there, and then he's going to sustain back up using the Fury stacking from his ultimate. So well done by Broken Blade, realizing that he could use his flash to gain the flash back from Kana. Now, Kana's in a really bad spot here. No teleport, no resources, and Orianna and Maokai are in this side of the map. So Jace is going to have to decide whether or not to take an awful back or to try to survive and outplay here. Now, it looks like he's going for the outplay. He's pinging for help. And Renekton's pinging missing pings. It's like, is someone coming? Is someone coming? I don't know who's here. Very much just playing that balance. Jace saying, I need to save this wave. I'm so close to extra items. I want to make sure I get that on my recall. Being a little bit greedy. Super risky to do this. All right, we see the all-in from Draven. Bam! Look at all those stacks. Beautifully done. Now, something we've spoken about Draven, sort of a hidden reason why he doesn't scale well. All right, so for one, he's entirely based on snowballing. He is super mechanically intensive, probably the most mechanically intensive champion in the entire game. Those things make him hard to play as the game goes on, but also, as the game goes, it gets harder and harder to keep stacks, right? During this meandering laning phase, very easy to just continue catching axes, long times in between fights. Not much is going to happen, so it's very easy to get lots of stacks. A lot of people don't realize that his R damage, the execute threshold, improves with the amount of stacks that you have. So you see right there, that Alistar did not think they were going to be dying from 35% health. Could have flashed earlier and just was playing it thinking that they had the limits. Draven deals tons of execute damage because they're sitting on all that stacks, and that is enormous. We're talking about probably 150 extra stacks compared to what you might expect, and he's got this huge back. And with it, we're going to get the most common build from Draven. We're going to see Serrated Dirk into Triforce, most likely into Collector, and then we'll go from there. Now, Renekton getting the kill, they get the push. They also have the Herald. This is that dream situation that you rarely get in pro games, where you get a kill while you're holding the Herald. So expect them to hold on to this Herald. They're going to go, and you want to drop it when your HP is right here. No, this is a little bit early. This is a play that's meant to keep the lane phase going. All right, when you drop it this early, this part is true damage, so it's going to go right to about there. All right, and they're going to go to finish this last plate. But because you didn't deal the damage first, you had to end up fighting longer against extra resistances. All right, if you're curious about that, every champion that's nearby taking part in a plate being destroyed will result in the plate armor, the amplified defenses, the augmented defenses, I think it's called, going up exponentially. Okay, so you really want to have fewer people hitting the plate to make sure that you're getting less armor stacking, and you want the Herald to hit at the end for 1.5 plates. So that's why you try to channel it after you're down to 3. You try to get it down to 2.5, and then you leave it at 1. This is how you get the maximum while leaving the turret up. But the other option is to wait, channel it at 2. It charges at 1.5, and it'll kill the turret. That's how you get the most total gold. So it depends what sort of state you want. It looks like they want to hold the Jace captive to this part of the map. Now, as a response, you see what Jace is doing right here. He's taking a Krug's camp. This is something that's invaluable to your laners, making sure that you keep your resource gain up. And Rel, this is perfectly timed, right? Like, you're helping Rel to level up her camp. She's also invading, so she's not even missing out on the timer. So very nicely done, where they're getting the maximum out of this bad situation. But make no mistake about it, this is a bad situation. G2 is crushing it right now. Draven is tremendously far ahead of this Varus. Renekton is in a position where he's got permanent kill threat onto Jace. We're going to see an ultimate here, most likely. They might try to get the kill without it. Yeah, they're going for it without it. Nice job. Now, with 2 people down up in topside, you see how DK answers. They're going to send maximum people into the southern quadrant. They want to take control of this whole area, make it really uncomfortable for Draven to exist. And then they can go up, take plates, get dragon priority for themselves as well. Now, that being said, Orianna used her teleport, has gold spent in inventory, teleports back into position, still has her ultimate available, and we have the early plated steel caps from Renekton. So let's see how this fight goes. Early to the advantage, a little bit of disjointed timing here from G2. 2 people caught out. Good job by the Azir to see it, but that is a demonstrable mistake by G2. Hopefully we'll get a chance to check this out. Let's go to the setup. Okay, so looking at this position, we're seeing Maokai, Draven, Renata on this side, Orianna trying to get in, but see how they are lacking in vision here? All right, boom. All these vision advantages, plus the fact that they have everyone here. So they're able to essentially draw a battle line this big, and you need to come in with force. There is no Renekton teleport, and neither is there Jace, so they're not worried so much about that. But Orianna's not that much stronger than Azir right now. In fact, Azir, having gone for a more budget build and going for the Ludens, is going to have this huge spike off of boots and completed item that the Orianna does not have. So frankly, G2, this is a mistake by even coming here. They should have taken this as their win. They should have looked to create a push here, get a cycle where these guys come back, they come take this lane, and then Orianna can go back into this side lane. All right, hopefully that makes sense. But coming over and trying to contest this dragon while lacking vision, fog of war disadvantage, is a truly disadvantaged position for them, and they pay the price. We'll take a peek again. Like, they think they're catching them out. They're like, all right, we're going to get a Maokai ult into a Renata ult, and instead they just get popped. Draven not even able to get his ultimate off. They get nothing. So that's about as bad as it could have been. Luckily, based on where the game was, they're still going to come out of this with a 2k gold advantage, and even on Drakes. But that is a fumble for sure. Now's a good time to look at scaling. Azir obviously going to be a huge problem as the game goes on. Varus, depending on his build, right, you can go on hit, you can go lethality, or you can go AP, and each of them has sort of different trigger points for what they're trying to do. As far as your scaling goes, Varus with the AP build is going to be able to fight in 1v1 and kill people from the maximum amount of health. So in a way, depending on the shape of the fights, that can be good. The lethality build is definitely the one that falls off the most. And it looks like that's what we're going to get is the mirror mana plus lethality. So they're looking to very much chunk, right? So it's chunk, all in, and then here's your carry. Azir's going to pick up all the rest. They want everyone to be as low as possible as they go in for that Rel Alistar engage. It's also a neat synergy, right? Because you've got these two AD threats. They're both building lethality. So it makes you want to build armor, but the real carry is right here. So it's going to be difficult to itemize for it. I like the combination. You see this a lot, right? You see a lot of Varus paired with Jason looking for poking. When that happens, especially into a low range composition like Renekton Draven, all right, these champions have a tough time moving up into space. That's why the Maokai ulted early. The team walked in early. They thought they might be okay to do that, but they just didn't account for the fact that 4 champions might be in their face right away. Now, Draven completed Trinity Force and Serrated Dirk, has given up some of that advantage because Varus got those kills here. So Varus will be looking pretty strong. This is about the strongest point of Varus's poke that we're going to get. We'll have another spike on Mirror Mana plus Serrated Dirk. But by then, we're going to see completed item. We're going to see Collector done by Draven as well. So the all-in fight still going to favor G2 here. They're still looking to combine these two plus the Orianna. We'll see how they go about that. All right, so now we're into the mid game. Most times 14 minutes is basically just the deadline. This is where they make this trade for. You're going to notice Renekton is going into the long lane, right? That is the distance between these turrets is longest, which means that Renekton has to put himself in the most dangerous position. You'd rather have Renekton do that versus Orianna because she's so slow. Bot lane is the short lane, right? There's a tiny amount of space here. This is exactly what Orianna wants. Sea wave, obliterate wave, move back into the river. You see how they have this Knife's Ward line right here. She's going to use that to constantly just kind of shift back over, say, hey, is there a fight in the river? Let me look. I'm ready for it. We can maybe do something because I've pushed the wave in first. And that's how you can rotate as a mid lane mage. Renekton doing a similar thing, but he's ideally stacking the waves up in top before going out. I dislike that cleanse and that ult. So G2 playing a little bit panicked right now. Not very coordinated for these effects. Like you see people like, oh shoot, we're being invaded on, let me use my abilities. Cleanse, ideally, you're using this in response to another ability. You don't need to do it instantly to one unless you suspect another one is coming or see another one coming. That spell was at such long range. I'd like to see Hansama save his cleanse for a little bit longer, make them commit further before you use that. Now, obviously, he doesn't want to get all in right here, right? But make them commit, make them show some symbol that they're trying to do that. Get them to come into your team. It's a very, it's a tight rope to walk, but you can, especially on this champion, you're going to have to do it because you're doing it every single time you catch an axe. All right, G2, are they nervous? These look like they were zombie wards, but check out all these wards that they've got. They're completely protecting the southern quadrant. This will empower the Orianna to do exactly like we said, just shove and rotate. Dragon's coming up in 40 seconds. So Renekton has already shoved this wave. You're going to see him come over to the fight now. It is very important to lean on your strength, all right? Whatever your strength is, you have to lean on it. You have to say, like, this is what I'm doing. I'm really going to prioritize doing more and more. Broken Blade last time did a shove out into an instant recall. So this time he says, I can get away with a trap here. We'll see if he ends up using his Fury. Probably won't. Wants to keep it up for the dragon fight. But he is certainly advantaged here. Wave has already been pushed, and he's in a position to get to his spot. He's healthier. He's got the gold first. He's got the push. He's got more kill threat. So much so that he's actually able to proxy this wave, right? Step up ahead of the wave. He's just going to go obliterate the whole thing, basically stay up at full health. And now Jace has to have this decision. Do you come match this wave, or do you give it up and show up for the poke? It looks like he's opting to just take the resets. They're going to give up this Ocean. I'm not that big of a fan of DK giving this Ocean up. Ocean is pretty good with poke comps, right? So when you've got these champions, you actually want to prioritize Ocean. Not only will it give you all the mana you need to get infinite poke, but it also stops them from just healing up from the poke that you do land. It's a small thing, but like thinking about what the composition is going to do, that actually matters. And especially on this Ocean map, if you ever get to a point where you're giving up 2, it might be problematic for them. All right, Renekton, fast ultimate. They're using Maokai here. They're going to go for Azir. Azir is the target, the only person that matters. They one-shot them. My goodness. All right, big deal. Let's see the rest of the fight. Are they going to dive in? They're feeling good under their turret. Caps is holding the aggro for as long as possible. Knows that he doesn't have much to contribute to the fight anymore. Broken Blade is just lingering here, though. Also has the ball, so he's got the extra stats. Beautifully executed by G2, coming over here and punishing. Now, Varus is going to try to get the maximum, right? So he's going to try to kill this. He's going to try to kill the wave, and then he wants to come up here and clear this wave as well. Teleport by Orianna denies it. But sometimes that's what you gain, right? If you're in a position, this is a prize. It's a small thing, right? It's only a 4-minute timer, but at least you're getting something. You know, make no mistake, they're certainly behind here. But Showmaker showing some aggression. Not confident that he can land his R there into Rel. Perhaps they should have tried to get that and just get the 1 kill up front. Rel somehow wasn't able to block that. I perhaps thought that Azir was going to be able to step out of range of the tendrils. But instead, Azir gets rooted up. You can still cast your ultimate to peel back. Look at how they set up. They wait. Look at this. The minions are taking aggro. Now Renekton goes in with the strength, the extra stats of the Orianna ball. One of the things that makes these two champions so good together, right? Not only are we talking about different damage types, we also have gap closers so they can get in. Plus, Renekton has to generally build a lot of aggressive stats and doesn't get much resistances, but Orianna's ball gives resistance, so you throw the ball on top of the Renekton, and suddenly he's a little bit of a beefcake. All right, then you can go into builds like this that just have AD and health with no resistances. You throw the ball on him, and suddenly he's got some resistances. So a very, very popular combination. This is as old as time. I believe this was even present in the first World Championship. Now we do see what looks like it's going to be a fast Rabadons from Orianna. I very much like this. It is giving you extra sources of shields. Okay, that's a big deal for Orianna. Her E strength, the size of the shields gets to be gargantuan as the game progresses. And a lot of people kind of give that up by going pen shoes, and they go into other elements. They go into, you know, pen from Shadow Flame or things like this. It's like, yeah, the pen's nice. You deal some more damage on your ult and it's big and splashy, but like having the value of that ball, like I said, giving all those stats to Renekton and on top of that massive shield. Whoa, they decide to stand near the wall. They're baiting this fight. Why do you want this? This makes no sense at all. You're trolling. Hold on. Okay, so there is no reason to be standing up here in a clump like this. You're just allowing Rel and Alistar range to get in. This is awful. This is just trolling. You've got Draven to chunk people out. They perhaps think that they can turn off the Baron and engage themselves, but like they're doing it in the face of these control wards. They're even being seen by this vision ward. It's not turned off. They came to Baron with no control wards. Like, what is this? This makes no sense whatsoever. We've got poke versus poke. Orianna's trying to shield, right? Doing mage things. One of the problems with having Orianna going out here compared to someone else, though, obviously you see that the plan of action is that Renekton, by standing here, is making it clear that he wants to do this. And Orianna standing here is making it clear that she wants to put the range. But if you had flipped these two champions, right? So let's swap these two for a moment. All right, they swap fields. Renekton can still be a threat to engage, and Orianna can still hit her E. It is her longest range ability after all. She can still hit that, but then no one else needs to present a target. What ends up ensuing here is kind of crazy. It makes no sense to me why they would opt for this. It's like they're scared of some form of coin flip, but like you can deny at least this control ward. And then you can sit there and say, all right, we're going to hold this at 2,400 health. Are you guys willing to commit? Are you willing to commit? Coming in, you know that Alistar's all the way back, so they've got the advantage here. But giving them this window to get Rel and Jace, like Jace, you let Jace in over the wall. This was awful. Awful. They're just trolling. Okay. Needs improvement. Something, this is a complete minus. And that, if you're a fan of G2, that's gotta suck to have this game where you have such a huge advantage and saying, okay, we got our pick, here it is, here's the end of the game, we're gonna do this, check all of our boxes. They just forget to dot their I's and cross their T's, and they end up walking themselves into Armageddon. And suddenly DK is going to have a lot to get for themselves. They've been losing all game, so they've got this to gain, they've got this to gain. They might go after this. They might even target these. That's a lot of gold, right? So 3K, we're talking about 4,000 standing gold on the map, plus the fact that they all got a half level from the fight. We'll take a peek at this one. Good shape on this. I love this. Good job. All right, so that's how they get their pick, and then they come on over. What this should have been is a line right here with Renekton shielding and be like, I'm willing to dive into you, but it doesn't need to be here. And it looks like he's trying to line up a double dash, right, where he's trying to land it onto somebody. Instead, I'd rather see everyone over here look for Renekton to dash over Baron, use Baron as your source of dash 1, dash 2 to jump into them, then you can throw Orianna Ball on top and you can go for a big engage, maybe even just sacrifice Renekton for tons of damage and getting the Baron, right? That is something you can look to do, but as played is a complete miss. Props for DK for setting up a trap, having that extra ward in the pit. That should never happen. You should never be in that situation where you don't have control wards. And apparently they've decided they don't need that many anyways. Only 2 more in inventory. As we show up for this dragon, you do and don't want this dragon. All right, there's pros and cons. The con is that, like, look at the damage that's already been done to your structures. They've come in inside out. They've taken mid lane prio. So if there is a standoff, you're playing standoff against a poke team who has mid lane prio and Baron. So the longer that DK can hold this line, I'll pause for a second. If we're looking at what's going to happen, you can even put in the comments right now, timestamp, and have a pause the video moment where you can decide what to do here. How would you approach this? And then we can check out in the comments, have a little discussion. But the fact that they have Baron, the fact that the wave is pulled out, right? I'm glad that G2 has this control ward. This is the most important ward you'll ever place in your games, is an ocean map control ward into this bush. Because so much of the fight, this becomes a safe haven for yourself. Well, I'm also looking for another control ward to end up in this bush as the fight breaks out. But as we look at this situation, you've got mid lane going, you've got a tier 2 down, and you have Baron buff. So you could do nothing and actually let yourself kind of like bob and weave for this dragon. Like, hey, we're kind of here, we're kind of not. We're using vision to our advantage. We're poking you with Varus and Jace. And meanwhile, you could like sneak a 0 over after a Q cooldown, for example, come on over, push this wave, and suddenly you'd be threatening for this wave to go all the way in to the tune of give dragon, throw everything at this mid lane turret, and then get ready to fight right here. So compositionally, looking at it, G2 does not have any sort of flank position set up for themselves. This is potentially dangerous. I do like how they have control ward, so they're holding this as their line of scrimmage. It's going to be a good spot for them, and they have Orianna Ball, Renekton. They're daring enemy team like, hey, do you want to come close? We're going to use our own ocean to try to heal up through this and try to survive the rest of this fight. Now here's another one, big control ward. They might use this to try to jump into the pit here. Jace actually throwing an advantage. Canyon going over, but Maokai gets the smite, and they end up for a fight. Now the answer needs to be from DK, an immediate push mid. Because see how they're all retreating? They're all going backwards. Everyone's moving back. This needs to be answered with an immediate push. DK opting to try to create this flank, not really the way their comp is designed to be played, so I consider that to be a miss for them, but we're talking about the difference between these two wards, All right, consider those to be two little eyeballs when you're in an ocean map. That you can use those two and then draw a line of scrimmage, and then you can move inside and outside, move forward and back, decide whether or not to blitz or just step back to safety into your little pocket there. One of the answers could have been like a strong flank here, and they certainly had enough vision. If you remember, less than a minute ago, these dots represented red team wards. All right, Baron is out. G2 survives unscathed. They gave out one top lane outer. They gave out the inner in mid lane. So some of the gold has been recuperated. They only have a 1k gold lead, but they have 3 dragons, and the timers are going to be close enough that they should be able to siege for a dragon comfortably, go for an all-in, and then go for Baron and look to end from there. See how their end game precision goes. Interesting that Renekton just gave that to Maokai. Curious why. It looks like Renekton's closer to the next item, but it's tough to say. It's tough to say. We just have to assume though, right? Like we've got 2 items and a giant spell, 2 items and more, but a huge difference in CS. So we'd expect Renekton to be close. Maybe even Renekton might even have it or is already sitting on that money, just waiting for the right time to recall. Usually when you have that completed item, you're going to find a way to get back so you can use that strength on the map, because you do have to counter this 3-item Jace, right? 2.5 item, almost 3 item on Azir. We're almost on 3 items here on Varus, potentially as well. So this is going to start getting scary. These 3-item poke champions, this is as strong as Jace will be for the entire game, okay? Now, something you can try, talking about builds right here, Varus, obviously going full lethality, full poke with this. If you want to have something that's hybridized, that's good in the early game and good in the late game, you can go Serrated Dirk, build out Man Immune, then you can go and finish Collector and then go for Rageblade, and you'll get the extra on-hit damage from Collector for the Rageblade effect, and you'll have some amount of penetration from the... or lethality, I should say, from the Serrated Dirk. So it's a neat little build, and Rageblade also gives you that ability to get through the resistances. So it's another build you can go if you're trying to get this like one size fits all. Something that we don't see nearly enough is that Collector Rageblade synergy. But if you check it out, that is one of the winningest builds across all levels. Now, Caps has an interesting role here, right? You have significant amount of poke coming in from Jason Varus, right? Super long range poke. Orianna shield can soak it up. So one strategy that you can go for is just throw shield on frontliner and let them sit in the front of the fight. It can be a little bit difficult to constantly answer with the ball, not to mention you've got this cooldown. You see how Varus is just abusing, just throwing as many spells out as possible, using the Duskblade passives for the speed and the haste that we've got in the build to throw as many of these as possible, making it difficult to stand to the amount of poke here. Now, with the Azir turret going down, this means that they're going to get Baron Prio for themselves. Renekton can take this opportunity as a chance to create a slow push in bot. Now, bot is already slow pushed, so if he fast pushes here, he's actually going to be threatening this turret, but it has to be combined with an effort for the team to get in. It looks like Varus single-handedly is keeping them at bay here, and the Azir turret combined with Varus poke means that we get no contest for this Baron. Very, very well done by DK. Hiding the vision. You see how they put this control ward down? They make sure that no one sees them in those moves. This is a vital one to do. Something that kind of takes some gumption to put down, but you get the Azir turret down, you have a Varus, and you put a control ward. How is enemy team ever supposed to think that they can step into that? Well, they might not. And in this case, your reward is a free Baron. Now suddenly we're very, very close in gold. They're going to go shop with their empowered recalls, and once we have level 16 from Varus, this entire team is going to be scary. But keep in mind, we just saw that Azir was on some component items, not quite able to get the to get Void Staff and Teleport is down. So that is a bullet dodged by G2. If he had that, then it would have been a tremendous amount of extra damage. Varus, of course, was dutifully pushing the mid lane, also had no real inventory to speak of. Broken Blade should just go for this 100%. Should be one dash, at least. Should have used the first dash. I don't know where it went. They're going for the engage. He's got the stopwatch, but Orianna's not in position for the shield. He's trying to double dash. Where's the shield? Caps is just nowhere to be seen. No teleport, coming out, wanting to get his item. That is a very, very bad syncopation right there. We have Broken Blade committing to going in and Orianna not being able to step up, not coming into the fight. So G2 throwing this game away around the pits. This is going to be a very disappointing loss, most likely at this point. Stopwatch in the inventory for Varus. Sometimes you do see Zhonya's come out from this build, although they tend to want to get all the AD possible to make sure that their Qs are hitting for the maximum. AP is not awful on Varus, though, for that empowered W especially. Let's look at this. Orianna's pushing the wave. She's trying to gain control of this wave as they're going in. So look at this. She's finishing this recall as Renekton is going in. This is unacceptable. And perhaps they might be saying some kind of combination of hey, I don't have a ward to teleport to. I can't even get over there. But like even this ward back here, back of the pit. Now you're just completely stuck in your oh goodness. It's not a good spot. Wonder if it's finally gotten to Caps where he didn't want to be the limit tester anymore and says, I'm just going to do the safe methodical play. Has the ball on top of Varus for the respawn. They're able to get him dead. Doesn't matter if you knock the Orianna away. It's the ball on top of the stasis that matters. All right, now with someone dead, I expect to see an all-in here, 100%. Even with Orianna dead and Varus, right, it's a bigger portion of your goal to go after this or with Orianna being gone, but you can still go for this engage. It's probably going to be your best chance. Not only that, but everyone else on the team is going to be full resources, whereas there's still going to be some cooldowns gone. If they tag Azir here, no, Azir's able to get just out of range, means they clean this up. Oh my god, G2, what are you doing to our hearts? The good news for this, what this kind of play style tends to amount to, all right, someone who's, you know, coming from my background in tennis, making great shots but making poor decisions, tends to be someone who is very well prepared and very skilled, but feeling pressure, all right, and feeling too much pressure. That's where the source of too many bad decisions comes from, or making mistakes under pressure. But the mere fact that they have that skill to still come back, A, to generate that lead, B, to find these outplays that come up, that is a very promising sign for them as this tournament continues, regardless of how this goes. And that was sort of the I don't want to call it the knock on them, but the scouting report for them all season. Right? It's like we have an unorthodox style, but we're constantly aggressive. We're constantly putting things to the limit. It ends up with a little bit of a roller coaster sometimes, but the play skill is there, right? They're pushing everything to the limit, and it will be exciting to see what that amounts to over the course of this tournament. Sort of reminds me of Rookie and the Shy when they won on Invictus, where it was just constantly like the two of us are just the best two players in the tournament. We will constantly take every single inch that you give us, and even if you don't give us an inch, we'll step up anyways, and we'll see if we can take that inch. So it could be a very fun tournament for G2. I'm looking forward to see how it goes on. Now with Ocean Soul and a 2.6k gold lead. Now the gold is much less relevant. We're looking at just completed items at this point. And one of the big ones is going to be Draven. Sitting on that 4 item, he's got the perfect build here. Collector, Bloodthirster, and Lord Doms. This is the highest amount of damage you can get. He may go into Guardian Angel for later to make sure he just has that extra life. Broken Blade getting chunked? No. And again, no shields from Orianna. You're really banking on Orianna shields here. Unable to get it, but gets himself To save. Oh my goodness. Was that the calf shield? I have to see. He's resurrecting. He's at very low health. What is the source of heal? Was this Gore Drinker? No, it's not Gore Drinker. What healed him here? There's no heals. Was there a redemption's not on cooldown? It could be a spectator bug and I'm just not seeing redemption. That could be it. No, redemption landed right here, right? Yeah, there's the redemption. I'm not seeing it. If you guys know, put it in the comments below. I can't tell what this is. This is 35 minutes into the game, so say 3500. And yeah, I'm curious what's going on from there. I don't know. Anyways, the fact that he survives, the fact that he's back up to 70% health. I mean, I guess, oceans, but it shouldn't have had that giant take, right? It's the stasis is what gets you up. But now with the Ocean Soul, we're talking about a very significant HP lead, very difficult to get into the pits here. G2 is going to be much more confident taking these fights, but this is not what you want. You don't want to be chunked out. Looking at this all in now, we see Maokai using his ultimate. He's going to bring the Radiant Virtue to his team, stacking up this healing effect. You see them just getting back up, healthy. They're gaining their health. They have found themselves a pocket of vision that they can recall into, and they escape. DK, I like the play. Trying to press the maximum, say, all right, here's all the pressure. The pressure's on you from this moment. You need to get recalls off. You're low health from Baron. Let me see if we can get some fight. But now also using the tempo, knowing that enemy team has recalled, they're going to come over here. Now, the big disadvantage is they have not shopped. Okay, so everyone on G2 was able to shop and get back out onto the map, so they are as strong as they could possibly get. We're talking elixirs, we're talking stopwatches, every single resource available to them will be used here. Now, DK was here first, which means they will be able to create this poking advantage. You see that the priority on these wards right off the bat. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Maokai ultimate when it's up, just as an effort to regain this line of scrimmage. Okay, they want to go, you want to cast that, maybe move forward, look for a little bit of chunk damage. The demonic embrace will also be helping them out. Likely he's going to try to get an all-in from it because of the Radiant Virtue. Check out this flank from, is it Renekton? No, they canceled it. They canceled the teleport. So instead they say, all right, you want to cancel a teleport? No, they got it. That was just a vision toggle. Got you. Renekton comes in, draws out the flash. That's going to be a lot of their potential for a fight is in that engage from Rel. She still has Hex Flash, but does not have an ultimate. Now, G2 can use the Ocean Soul right here to just say, I'm Maokai. I'm just Maokai. I'm going to throw saplings into all these bushes. This is the best possible situation for us where we've got 3 oceans and the soul on an ocean map. Now, a Renata ultimate is always very strong, ends up catching Rel. They should have used this window as a chance to pull the dragon in here. Instead, they're going into the pit. Generally, you want to pull this out, say you have some more space. You don't want to be corralled into this small space. You want to have this entire lateral area. This is a super tense fight. We see flank number 1, Draven getting a one-shot onto Alistar. Boom. Now, Draven's damage for the rest of the fight, you see how he uses the ultimate right away. Basically, you've cashed in on all your axes. That brings that number to 0, so you get no more amplification for the rest of the fight from your ultimate. That's what we're talking about as far as like scaling and getting these big wins from team fights with Draven. That can be a source of resource loss. Either you die and you lose a significant amount of those stacks, or you get a kill and that cashes them all in and your damage goes down. So it's a kind of a unique aspect to him that people don't really give enough credit to. But anyways, Elder in hand, Ocean Soul, mid inhib broken. They don't need to go for any recalls, but they're probably sitting on a lot of money here. No more Baron buff. They may look to reposition. Now, Orianna's going to have her teleport, Renekton's not. So Renekton's going to come up with the team, and they're going to take control of this area, and with the team push here. Orianna's going to go collect this, and ideally create a slow push, and use that slow push to create imminent threat in this lane, while the 4-stack comes here, and then you can go +1 with the teleport. All the meanwhile holding vision here. Your supers are creating vision here. Your wave will create vision here. And that means that it will be very difficult for enemy team to cross this line to create any threat. And if they do try to commit and you end up with a grand melee, at least you have a game-ending push happening in bot wave. Now they say, you know what? It's actually going to be about 1:15 for the setup anyways, or I should say the teleport's coming up in just over a minute. It's going to be up before the Baron anyways, so there's no rush. We're going to take it slow. We'd rather have Renekton down here anyways, so we're going to put Renekton. But check out this answer. I love this. 1-2 champions coming to answer. We'll see if they clear this ward right here. Jace is going and checking it all out. Love it. Love it. All right, so they come up. They actually send 2 champions. See what Renekton did, though? Just went halfway. Not getting greedy. Good job recognizing that the enemy team has disappeared. You don't want to approach this line of bushes. Just saying, okay, that's enough. I've got the wave in. I'll start moving up to my team. Teleport's not yet available, so ideally you want him to come back and pick up this wave. But he may have eyes on this super minion right here. Once it gets under the turret, team's going to go. Maokai ultimate being used for space allows them to come get another inhibitor. And they back off. Now, Azir, I don't actually like Azir recalling here. Azir has teleport. You could have come back in 4 seconds anyways. Could have also threatened this turret to get something back for yourself. Right? Like, they've got no resources now. They've got no threat. This wave is going to start coming back to them as well. So now they have nothing to claim an advantage on. The one thing that they had an advantage, and it's so important, when you're losing, you want to maintain one thing that you can claim as an advantage and play around that one thing. In this case, they had 2 people bot. They tried to get a 1v2. They didn't get it. That's fine. You can still use those 2 people to create threat, or just do it with Azir with teleport up. Keep Jace around because he's got better long-range poke. And that way you still get to threaten this lane. Now here comes the big engage. Renata ult hitting 4 people means this is probably going to spell doom for DK. How do they withstand this, especially into the soul? Going to be very, very difficult. Alistar is the first one to drop. Yike is going to dash into the whole team, as is Renekton. Jace falls, Azir falls. G2 survives. Apart from a couple of mistakes around the pits, G2 was the far better team this game, which is pretty exciting. We haven't seen a Western team dominate a European team like this. Or sorry, a European team dominate a Korean team like this. So it's pretty exciting to see what might come for the rest of the tournament. G2 takes their first game. They go into the winner's bracket on the Swiss. So well played, guys. Hopefully that stage jitters is gone. Hopefully that means that it's the sign of a team that believes they can win, that they really can do this. And when you really care that much, sometimes you can elevate a little bit too much. If you guys haven't seen it, you should check out Controlling Your Emotions. It's one of our videos. I'll put a link into the description below. You guys can follow that. It's about how to make sure that you can regulate yourself and then bring yourself up to your optimal competing spot. It's tough to do on stage, right? You have to visualize it. You have to picture yourself there. Allow yourself to get in the moment, but care enough, but not too much, because you don't want to ride that roller coaster. I'll catch you guys on the next game. Peace.